Hi there, and welcome to my update for rpgax. So I've made a lot of progress. I've created a couple of classes here, a couple of more objects from last week. I have weapon moves, weapon, character, player, enemies, all of sorts of things. I forget how much I've done since the last week. I'll have to go back and check the update, but I'll pretty much, since this is my first video on it, I'm just going to talk all about it and what it is. So I've got a couple of enemies here, and I have a game object now. This is completely new, with a couple of methods and my utils. These are all pretty big files. Pretty big. Let me see here. Let me just shorten these down a little bit so we can see them better. So all of these have, a lot of code in them, and it's all proud work of mine. So I guess to start things off, instead of explaining how the code works, let's just take a look at the game. Now, it goes to mention that I don't actually use Xcode to test out the game. It doesn't work very properly since this isn't a actual console. This isn't a real terminal. So I decided to learn how to use G++. But the problem is that it got a little complicated. I ran into some bugs with the compiler. G++ is naturally in C++ standard version 98. That came out in 1998. And it needs to be run in 2011 version. So I made a quick script for that. Check where we are. I made a script, rpgax.bash. So if we take a quick look at that, I created this script to compile the C++ files to do basically what Xcode does every time you run it. So I use this as a text editor or a code editor because I'm very comfortable in Xcode. But I like playing the game through my terminal. So I created a pseudo executable file. It just uses G++, runs this big line of code. It took me like days to figure out how to do this. And it only took me a short while to actually make a script of it. So let's go ahead and try it out. I'll go ahead and clear this. I will do, let me just check and see where we are. Okay, I'll do ./rpgax.sh. We'll run it and it'll run my game. Here are the starting origins for your character: Brute, Rogue, Wizard, Inquisitor, Nomad. You'll note that the printing is character by character. That took a lot of work. That took about a day's work to get done. I've been working nonstop on this game. So let's go ahead and pick something simple, the Brute. You'll notice that it takes the word Brute, and then it prints out what it's about. So the Brute is a strong warrior who can take a hit or two or three. It's got some stats, some HP. It uses the Zweihander, and it's got 2 armor. So we can say, yes, let's do the Brute. Now I don't have to actually press Y. As you notice, the Y is capitalized. So I can just hit enter. N also works. And if we give a bunch of garbledygook, it will take that. I can pretty much put anything, and it'll handle it. So we'll just go ahead and hit enter. It'll ask us for our name. So I'll put Winfield is what I use for everything. It's just my middle name. I'll do Winfield. So we're on floor 0. We've got 2 souls. Souls is going to be the currency of the game from Dark Souls. We have no potions. So we're up against a giant fat pigeon. It can't even fly. And this is supposed to be the art for it. This is supposed to be us. I have 30 health. It has 5 health. Here are some stats. I have armor. Armor doesn't do anything right now. It will soon. This is just being displayed because it's part of the player class. Then we can see that the pigeon is slower than us, which means we get to act first. This is based off the dexterity stat. It's going to use this move. The weapon it has is unarmed, so it doesn't have a weapon. It's going to try and kick us. This stuff over here, it doesn't mean anything. I will implement this soon. Right now, it's going to do 5 damage to us, and we have 1 move. We'll unlock more moves later as I make the game more. For now, the grade 0 Zweihander only has 1 move available. Now, naturally, the Zweihander does have more. It has It has something called Great Slash or something. I forget. But I already made it. It's only displaying the first one because we only have a basic level weapon. So if we find a weapon that's higher quality, it'll unlock more moves for us. So we'll go ahead and do Pummel Strike. Now there's multiple ways in getting this move. You'll notice that the move has the two little carrots, two little arrows, and this has two arrows, and this one also has two arrows. So we can use anything that has these. Now these are actually listed from 1 to 3, or 1 to anything, however many moves you have. So if I do, first of all, if I do Pummel Strike, let's do it perfectly. If I do Pummel Strike, it knows. Let's try another one. Let's try doing all lowercase, Pummel Strike. It also knows. Let's try doing just hitting 1. It also knows. Let's try doing nothing. It also knows. Now let's try using a potion. No potions. I have no potions, so it's not going to let me do anything. Let me try doing something random. Well, it knows that that's not allowed. Another option we could do is trying to type in just POM. It knows that. I could do, maybe I make a typo, right? And I say like Pommel Strike or something like that. Pemmel. It knows what I'm talking about. And that works with anything. I can really say anything, and it'll pretty much understand what I'm talking about. So we'll go ahead and do Pummel Strike. Yes. And I'll perform the Pummel Strike. I'll deal 7 damage. And notice that it only has 5 HP, so it's going to go ahead and kill it. I defeated the pigeon. But here comes another enemy. And I get to hit continue. So we go to floor 1. And we're going to go against a goblin trying to rob me of my life. I have 30 health still. It has 9 health. And it's going to be faster than me. So it's actually going to go first. And it has a move called Assassinate that does 4 damage. And eventually it's going to use that. This doesn't mean anything right now. It will soon. So it's going to immediately attack. And it does 4 damage to me. And now it's my turn. So I don't have any potions. My only option is to do Pummel Strike. This will open up later. I'm going to add more options to do. Outside of just this Vihinder, I want to do like maybe a run feature, a dodge feature, blocking. There's not going to be any block. The block is all done by your armor, and eventually the armor will work. It'll subtract. It'll be a static decrease of damage. So if he did 4 damage and I have 2 armor, he would do 2, because 4 minus 2 is 2. So we'll go ahead and attack him, try to kill him. So we did 7 damage. And he has 9, so he's going to go down to 2. So go ahead and just look right here. Boom. Now it's at 2. But it's his turn, so he's going to attack. He's going to do 4 damage. I'll attack him again. I'll use Pummel Strike. And I'll do 7 damage. I've defeated him. But here comes another enemy. Continue. So now we're on floor 2. Now as we go up in floors, enemies are going to start getting harder and harder. They are procedurally generated enemies, so I don't know which enemy is going to show up here, but it is based off the floor level. So I have a general idea that more enemies become available as we go up in floors, but it is possible that an enemy from floor 3 will be weaker than maybe the strongest enemy from floor 1. This is just because it's all procedurally generated, not randomly, procedurally. That's an important key difference. Also, the moves that they use are going to be procedurally generated as well. The dagger actually has access to 2 different types of moves, and depending on how strong the goblin is, they'll have a level of access to those moves based on the quality of their dagger. So he's going to do 6 damage to me, and I will go ahead and do 7 damage to him. Boom, I've done 7 damage. I'll continue. Eventually, I'm going to die, and there's nothing I can really do about it right now. Right now, the game has not a lot of choices. I really only have 1 option all the time, so there's not much game happening. I'm trying to do a reverse pyramid method style of game development, where I create a deployable game first. Okay, here we have a new enemy, a dark elf mage with a funny hat. He has 12 HP, 2 armor, and 2 resistance. We're on floor 3 now, so enemies are getting pretty tough. Normally, they wouldn't have any armor or resistance, but because they're on a higher floor, this is getting a higher and higher chance. This is actually a high roll for a Dark Elf Mage. If you notice, it has a move called Fireball that does 10 damage. And if you look over here, we have 10 health. So we basically have one move to do our best, but there's no critical strikes in this game. So I'm going to do 7 damage to him, and now he is going to deal 10 magic damage to me. And, well, I have no way to dodge it, and he does it instantly. He doesn't miss. And we're going to go ahead and die. So I died. I now continue, and if I want to play again, I can. If I don't, the program will end if I hit no, but if I hit yes, we'll go back to the beginning. And we'll get to try again. So right now it's just a roguelike, not a lot of choices. I'll go ahead and quit that. Not a lot of choices. There's really just one option. I'll show you an example of having multiple options. The Nomad actually has 2 choices because it's unarmed, and it doesn't matter what grade you have, you're always going to have access to both attacks. So, an exiled wanderer from a long forgotten land. It has basic stats, has 20 HP, has unarmed. So we'll go ahead and take this. Our name will again be Winfield. Floor, 0. Souls, we have more souls than normal. This is intended. Alright, we're going against the fat pigeon again. And the pigeon is slower than us. Perfect. So we get to go first. But this time we actually have 2 moves. So we can either do kick or we can do punch. Now, when I do a punch, that's going to do 3 damage, right? And obviously the kick, it does more damage. And so you might wonder, well, what's the point? Why would I ever do punch? Well, that's kind of the problem right now. This doesn't do anything, so there's no risk-reward factor for using kick. So where the game is right now, kick is the objective correct answer to use all the time. However, as you can see, there are options. Definitely options. Another thing I want to show you before I leave is that the potion mechanic does work. If we use one of these classes that does have a potion, I believe the Inquisitor has a potion. We also get to see magic damage. Though it doesn't do anything yet, they're still both the same thing because armor and resistance have no effect on how much damage you take. So right now, the magic damage factor doesn't do anything. So we get 1 healing potion, we have 1 armor, 1 resistance, and we have a talisman that does 8 damage. 8 magic damage. So we'll go ahead and take that. And you'll also notice that each of the classes have different ASCII art. That's this stuff right here. So it's Inquisitor because he's walking around asking questions. Pigeon is slower than us. All right. Even though we are a slow class, we're a very, very slow class. This is actually rare. Usually pigeons aren't this slow, but because it's procedurally generated, there is a variance to each pigeon. And so the pigeon has a chance of being slower than the slowest class in the game. We'll go ahead and use Judgment here. I would like to take some damage before showing how the potion works. Or how healing works in general. I mean, obviously it's simple to understand, but I just want to show that it does work. So we're going to floor 1 here. Let's see if we get a zombie. I mean, not a zombie, a goblin. Oh, but we actually get a dark elf woodsman with a feather hat. The Drow Ranger is faster than us, which makes sense. So he has a bow. He has called shot. He's going to do 4 damage to us. Let's go ahead and do, we'll judge him using Judgment, which is like a cleric spell. So he's at 5 health now. He's going to do 4 damage to us. Cool. Now we get to use a potion. Now potions are bonus actions. So when you use a potion, you don't have to give up your whole turn. You can use a potion and attack. So we'll go ahead and use the potion. Drink healing potion? Yes. Winfield drank the healing potion. Winfield healed 5 HP. Continue. So we're gonna go from 16 to 21, and then we still get to act. Now, if we try to drink another potion, there are no potions. So we'll go ahead and use Judgment. Yes. Perform Judgment. Oh, that's another thing I want to talk about. I don't know if you noticed, but the Winfield kind of got interrupted there. That's because when the text is actually moving, this is a bug that I'm not going to fix because it doesn't affect the way the game plays. It's up to the user. But basically what happens if I start typing in the middle of things, it's going to mess everything up and make things look ugly. Actually, I'm seeing the real effect here. This is pretty ugly. But it is up to the user to, not type. So right now I don't really plan on fixing it. But as you can see, if the player wants to just type away, they'll have no idea what's going on. But once I do something, let's see, let's do select a move. Go ahead, there we go. Now we'll use judgment. Winfield performed judgment. Eventually, I might fix it, but it's not a big deal for me. I think the user, I can trust the user not to just type away. All right. Anyways, that is my game. Thank you so much for following along with me. The code is substantial. There's a lot of code in here, as you can see. But I'm not really interested in going over the code. It's heavily object oriented. So this is a class. This is not a class, it's just a header file. This is a class. I have the enemy class, player class, character. The character is a parent class of the player and the enemy. The weapon move affects the weapon. There's items. All of them are objects. Even the game has an object. So when when the game starts, we create a game object that keeps track of everything for us. It makes it really, really easy to just make a game. I am building an engine here in order to make a game, and I'm really happy about it. So thank you for watching. All right, till next time. Bye bye.